boy, when I tell you, this was a conversation that was needed. Kirk Franklin put out this video on World Mental Health Day. Now, this conversation had KevonStage, Ray J, Dr. Jay Barnett, which is one of my favorite therapists. Never met him. Shout out to the gentleman, but I look up to him, admire everything he's doing. Johnathan Majors and NLE. They talked about mental health. They talk about relationships. They talk about faith. Now, I'm going to break down a couple clips from this video from a licensed therapist perspective. So you guys make sure you guys sit back and we're going to talk about it right now. Now, the first clip I want to break down is with NLE. And now this is one of the more viral clips that was going around, and he was talking about his perspective on Jesus Christ and God. So I'm going to roll this clip and I'm going to break this down. And I also want to hear from you guys in the comments. What are your guys' thoughts about what he said in this video?
A lot of people may say this and may say that. I don't like... Let me say it in a manner to where it's extremely intelligent. Let me think on it. In Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my father? And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
What?
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible, I listen to the Bible, I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
So Johnathan came in and said, NLE, you need to read it again. Now, I'm going to break this down from a Christian's perspective. And this is early in my Christian journey, in my earliest walks with understanding who God was and more understanding who Jesus Christ was. Now, for me, I understand where NLE is coming from. I totally get it because I've been there before. I was like, if I'm praying, why would I just not pray to God? Like, why do I have to involve Jesus in it as well, too? I understand Jesus came down, made a sacrifice and all these great things. But when I started really looking into the Bible and what it was, and I'm glad Johnathan mentioned this, was you have to understand, just as Christians, we have to have faith in Jesus Christ as well, too. Like, we have to believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And I think from this standpoint of where NLE is coming from is we're thinking about it from the human context where Jesus is the Son of God. So he's a man like us, right? When you start to really read the Bible, you start to really understand who Jesus was, right? And I think this is, again, right there with you, bro. Like, I'm really right there with you at one point in time until I started reading the scripture for myself. And I'm okay, this is who Jesus is, right? Jesus is the Son of God, but Jesus is God on earth, God in human flesh. So there's a lot of different religions that have, and I think this is where a lot of religions literally are separated because of their concept of who Jesus Christ is. There's some folks that believe Jesus was just a prophet. So there's some folks that believe Jesus is the Son of God. Some folks think that Jesus was just an extra disciple. But if you're talking about from a Christian standpoint, yes, there is a component where Jesus Christ is involved. Like we can pray to Jesus for repentance. We can pray to God for our repentance, but you have to understand who Jesus is in context. So I know NLE came out and he made a statement and talked about his response to that. And again, I don't knock, and I know a lot of folks have been giving him heat and all this other things. You have to understand that at some point in time, we have to not understand to understand. And these conversations and perspectives are healthy to have and understand, because now we realize, like, people don't, how would I say, let me break that. People are not what our church congregation is. Like, that's not the reflection of the real world. Sometimes we get so comfortable hanging around people that are like-minded or are Christian or people that are of like attainment, where we shun people out and we discredit everybody else because, okay, you don't believe that, so I'm just going to push you away. I'm not going to deal with you. It's like, literally, we have to invite everybody in these spaces so we can have these type of conversations. So one, we can sharpen our own intellect and how we perceive certain things, because now we're not so closed-minded and we're not depending on the pastor to talk for us. Like, we can speak about God and Jesus for ourselves, and we don't get lost in the context of church and the congregation. But we're gonna keep it rock and rolling, because Ray J also had some things to say, which was really significant as well too.
How has it been for you coming from the space where you had to go through this? You were raised in church. You've seen different things that have not been always good. How have you processed when it comes to dealing with your own journey of health, mental health, trying to be a strong man? How have you sometimes had the conflict of what to pray away and what to go seek help for, how to address issues that you may go through as a black man that is sometimes seeing faith not always in the best way or the right way or the wrong way? Has any of that ever been your experience?
I hate church.
Why?
Well, first off, because they always sit me in the back. And I'm like, damn, all right.
But does it make you not feel good enough?
I mean, I'm way back there, yo. Then they put me in the front of the church, and I'm like, in the front, I start sweating, yo. Real bad, like, I'm supposed to be at the front. And then,
Nervous when you sit
nah, I just was up there like, yo, I'm a real sinner. And then,
We all are.
I'm gonna give you guys some context, right? Ray J, he grew up in South Central California, and when I say where he's came from, a lot of folks that know Ray J and know Brandy and know Ray J's family know that Ray J's family was church going. They went to church. They even went to a church that a lot of my family members went to at one point in time, as Crenshaw Church of Christ at one point in time. So if you know Ray J and you know Brandy and you know their family growing up at that time, you knew that they went to church. So it was kind of interesting, because we always seen Ray J as like the bad little brother, right? And he even portrayed that in some capacity in Moesha, right? Like the dark, the forbidden child, as some, even when it came out that Ray J was Brandy's brother and Moesha's brother, after he found out that after Moesha found his dad had an affair with another woman. It's like they thinking they friends and they cool. Like, no, this is your brother. Ray J being outcasted, and I think this kind of played into maybe his character growing up. I think this is really the epitome of when we talk about church hurt. And this is an example of church hurt, because sometimes in these churches, and more specifically, even myself growing up in the Church of Christ, there's a lot of do's and a lot of don'ts. There's a lot of strict rules. There's a lot of situations where you cannot do certain things. Women can't talk in church like that. We didn't have choirs. We didn't have instruments. We didn't have these certain things, because in the Bible, we had this idea that it was a sin to have instruments in church, because that was the Satan was the minister or the angel of music. So I feel where Ray J is coming from, and I understand. And then specifically, I don't know specifically as an example of having to be in the back and the front, but I when I look at the Church of Christ and I look at some of the components of that, I get it. I understand that. Church hurt is a real thing. So when he said he hates church, I understand that. I feel that, because if you've been in those situations, been forced to go to church, been in situations where you were criticized in church, you were embarrassed in church, you were disciplined in church, people look at you in a certain way because you're in church, you're not saying these certain things, or you're not following the rules. Why would I go to church? Why would I go to church? I remember even when I went to college, I went to church sometimes, but on Sundays I was chilling because I didn't want to go to church, because I was tired of going to church. I ain't gonna hold you. When I went to college, I would go to church sometimes, and then there was a point in time where I didn't go at all, because I was tired of going, because I went as a kid every Sunday, Sunday evening, Wednesday night. Even have to cut football practice early sometimes, even to cutting out my whole social life. So yeah, as a young adult, as a 19-year-old, 20, 21, I'm gonna go to church if I feel like going to church. But then I have to understand that church, and when we talk about church hurt is not meaning that you have to sever your relationship with God. It's you have to identify that you have to go to a church that is really going to be preaching out of the Bible and not taking the Bible verses and manipulating it to what is fitting for their agenda. That's just point blank period what it really is. But there's another point I do want to bring up. This is gonna be probably a little bit longer video than normal, but it's okay. I ain't gonna. It's okay. It's okay. It's a lot of great context in these videos. I want to skip over to KevonStage. KevonStage had another clip. Maybe you've seen it was a viral clip. I wanted to break this down when we was talking about grief and how grief had creeped up into his life unexpectedly.
We were on a book tour, and I saw him in Houston. We had dinner. Everything was normal, and the night before he passed away, we were texting and calling, and everything was great. The day he passed away, we were talking. We were texting. We were talking about sports, and then my sister-in-law called and was like, "Your brother had a seizure," and I'm like, "What?" I still had my phone in my hand. I was like, I'm just talking to him. And I was so disoriented that I had a show that night. And I was like, came home and I was like, I'm gonna go to my show, he'll be fine. And my wife was like, I'm gonna go to Houston. I think you should come. And thank you. And I'll never forget this. We're flying and my nephew called me on the plane, and somehow my phone still rang. And my nephew told me on the phone, he's gone. Wow. So the last time he was alive, I'm talking to him the night before. We make the New York Times bestseller. Look, thank you, Richard. So it's the highest high. That day is the best day ever. Because it was like we did it. Everything was like we wanted to do this. We wanted to make all this stuff happen. And we did it. And before we could even celebrate it, you're gone.
Jeez.
And then all this stuff starts happening good. And it's like, bro, this is what we worked for. All the stuff, the shows, and it's just like, there's times where I go to text him or to call him, and it's like, your brain doesn't even remember. So, and then on top of all that, his responsibilities became mine. So his family, he's the provider for that family. So now all of a sudden I've got to help his wife, his kids.
Wow.
So I'm grieving with y'all.
Wow.
But I've taken on more of a burden, even though we're all sharing the same pain.
I think this is powerful, and I've said this on numerous of times on this channel where and I use KevonStage for a lot of review videos. One, it was a video I did about splitting 50-50 the bills. But also like his grief around his brother, man. And I know it's been, it didn't happen necessarily yesterday, but that's the thing with grief is that it's always going to be something there in the moment to feel. And I just appreciate him just being open and honest, even up until this time and this day, and talking about it and his emotional response and being vulnerable. Because what this does is it helps us men be better understanding of how to normalize grief. Right? In his position, he is saying that I had to take on more responsibilities. I have to take on more things on top of what I'm grieving. I lost a brother. And his brother wasn't just like, a brother. And hey, his brother was part of his journey as well too. His brother was part of his team, part of his success. His brother made things shake. So to have built all this up and not being able to celebrate with the people that actually helped you get there, it can be difficult and it's hard. And it's going to bring up some emotions. And we understand, grieving cycles. Accepting is probably one of those stages where, it's like I know it happened, but can I accept it? My prayers is always for KevonStage, as he's doing fantastic things, amazing things. Churchy season 2. I know he had. I just watch a lot of his content. It's on BET. I've been on BET rant lately, so I just been seeing his face everywhere, and I just appreciate him just being so vulnerable. I would say like strong. I want to say that word strong, but I think sometimes we say that word strong as men. It's like, yeah, we can be strong before. It's like, nah, like I'm gonna let my emotions ride, but I'm gonna keep it pushing. You feel what I'm saying? I'm gonna let my emotions ride, but we got some things we still need to get done. So I appreciate him just for being honest and open with that. The next video clip that I wanted to break down was from Dr. Jay Barnett. Now, he is a Black male therapist. I love his content. I love what he's saying. I love what he's doing. Everybody in here like is hella dope, as in some capacity, or somebody that a Black man that I do admire in what they're doing, for one reason or the other. Now I want to bring up this point that he talked about, and I'm gonna let this video rock, and then we're gonna talk about it afterwards.
This energy, because to be honest, Kirk, we don't even get the opportunity to grieve properly as Black men.
Or even how Ray J even got up and just showed him some love. It's like, we don't get those moments.
We don't get those moments. You know, when I saw all of these guys, I made it my point to acknowledge his transformation.
Yes.
I made it my point to acknowledge his perseverance and to speak life into him. Made it my point to talk with him and to share with him Ray J. And because when we lack connection, man, we limit ourselves from having the human experience. Yeah. We need connection. We need affection. I made a post, or it wasn't even a post, I was on a podcast, Brandy Harvey's podcast, and I talked about how study shows that boys need more hugs than girls. Not because they need more love, but we're usually underdeveloped emotionally as boys because we don't get touch, we don't get affection, we don't get I love you and look you in your eyes and not be able to say, no homo. It's no I love you, man, and pause. It's like we don't get that. And man, the internet tore me up.
It's a war.
The internet tore me up.
I like what he said here. As far as Black men or just men in general, telling each other I love you. It's so funny, bro. Like when I first telling my friends I love you, they would hang up hella quick. Like I'll talk to them and I'll be like, yeah, bro, what's going on? We chop it up, do woo woo woo. We talk, we shooting, talking, whatever. And I'm like, all right, man, you have a good one, man. I love you. All right, love you too, bye. The homies be hanging up so quick when you tell them you love them at the end of the conversation. And I think it's not a knock to the homies. Shout out to the homies. Shout out to my partners. Love you. Love everybody. Love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. If y'all watching the video, just know I love you. You know what I mean? But I tend to find it more uncomfortable with men when we say that to each other because, again, there is a undertone of like, oh, are you gay, or you need to say pause, and you need to put a preference, or you need to put a filler in there to show affection towards another man. Now, when we talk about affection towards another man, it's really you giving yourself an opportunity as men to embrace another man in the way that makes them more emotionally comfortable. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, when I tell my friends, hey, I love you, it's not me saying I'm in love with you. It's not saying I'm in love with you. It's saying I have love for you. I care about you. I want to see you do well. I want to see you succeed. I want to see your family succeed. I want to see you be a good father. I want to see you be a good husband. I want to see you be a good, just a stand-up man. I want to see you get all your dreams. I want you to hit all your endeavors. I want you to be successful. I want all these things for you. I love you, bro. In any way I can help you or support you, that's what that means when I say I love you. So with that, embracing that emotional standpoint, it's hard for men to do that. And I'm glad he brought that up. I'm not sure where that study comes from, but I'm interested to know where that study, how is it conducted, because I feel like that is true. Like, young boys and young men, we do need more love and more to be embraced on a bigger emotional playing field. I don't know however I'll describe it. Again, I can't even really explain it because I don't even really know what that looks like for real, for real. You know, I try to create the space for myself, but even I'm saying an emotional playing field or whatever, I don't know. I just know we need more. we need more of it. All right. There was another clip that he mentioned in the dangerous place is for a man to be in isolation. I want you guys to hear what he said about men being in isolation.
You talked about it earlier. The isolation, man, is such a dangerous place. I often say the worst place a man can be left is left alone with his thoughts.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
It's such a dangerous place, man. So thank you for creating this for us.
I just wish I could help more. It's because a lot of these shows that, what call them, it's all about, it's about being sensational. You know what I'm saying? It's not about healing.
Yeah.
I like that too. There a lot of times when we have these spaces, and I think this is where Kirk Franklin was getting into is a lot of times performative, right? Hollywood, you have media. These spaces aren't meant to heal. It's more to perform and produce, right? It's more of a, even this gathering here, it's more so something he created, not necessarily something that was, a studio call. Like, oh, we want to do this, and we want to do that. It's like, no, it's like it had to be created. Now, going back to what Dr. Jay Barnett was saying is isolation being the most dangerous place for a man. I think that rings true. The reason why is because in our thoughts, we sometimes as men feel like we are the only person going through something, and we isolate. And sometimes we blame the isolation necessarily not on, okay, I need to isolate, I need to be by myself, but it's just me versus everybody else. And that mentality for men can get us so caught up in a way where we are so caught up in our thoughts. And when we're caught up in our thoughts, it becomes super irrational. But the thing is, when our thoughts become irrational, we make them reality. So what happens is we end up projecting it to our spouses, our family members. We end up having substance abuse issues. We end up having porn addictions because we're trying to still seek an outlet, but our internal thoughts are keeping us from being in a state of healing. So we resort to things that may seem more divisive instead of really finding community. I don't think the first thing as men we do when we're in a problem or we're in situations is pick up the phone and call somebody and ask for help. That's not what we do. We try to figure it out ourselves. And even then, when we don't figure it out for ourselves, we're just like, well, it's just not going to work out. And what it really is you need to have built community as opposed to trying to figure it out for yourself. Because what you're not good at, somebody else is an expert at. And that's something I had to learn for myself. Even starting a business in my marriage, just trying to be a better man in general is learning how to trust other people to do things for me. The last clip I do want to run, Johnathan Majors. And I know he's gotten a lot of heat over the years, quote unquote, cancel culture got him. But I think it's really amazing, man, just to see him in I'm gonna call it a comeback. I'm gonna call it his grand rising, whatever you want to call it. But this new attempt in what he's doing is fantastic, and I admire what he's doing. Shout out to Making Good for holding it down for him as well too. Do trials, do all the things he's dealing with. But I want you guys to hear what he says, and KevonStage is going to say something about it as well too. Just about the importance of his partner and how his partner pushes him to become better.
It doesn't look like, holding his hand, walking through the courtroom. That's part of it. But the other part is you got to get up. You know what I mean? She clearly understands the mission.
Yeah.
And she supports the mission.
Yeah.
And she pushes the man. And
That's good.
As men, right? It's like having a training partner. You're pushing me to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I fall, you say, okay, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Let's go again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Can I
love
speak
it.
to that real quick? It's my wife did that to me, and I'll tell you what it was.
It's the dopest shit.
It's the best. Like, bro, it was the best. It unlocked a new level of love for her. I was talking about my next tour, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do these church jokes that I done because this church tour had done well, and I'm like, I can run these old jokes. I'm talking about from when I was like 18, 20. And I'm like, yeah, we do the churches again. Listen, it's gonna be blah blah blah. It'll be great. And she looked me dead in my face and was like, you're better than that.
Yep.
She was like, you can go into the lab and dig deeper and work harder and be better than that. And she was like, if you do this, you're taking the easy way out.
That's right.
And I was like, how could you say this to me?
Yeah.
Like, how could you challenge me this way? And as a creative,
Yeah.
I knew way back
Yeah.
in my mind when I was thinking of it, I was like, this is easy, Kev. But I would never acknowledge that.
Right.
And I think this is important of having like a purpose partner. And what I mean by purpose partner is somebody who is going to push you into your purpose, not force you, but push you and challenge you in a way that is out of constructive criticism, out of love, out of understanding your vision and pushing you towards what is it that you really trying to get out of your own life. Because if you don't have a purpose partner, you ain't got somebody that's pushing you and somebody that knows you can do better than you're doing, and you already know you halfway being lazy, like Kevon said, like what Kev said. Yeah, it's going you're not going to be successful. In my opinion, it's not. I don't know where it's written, whatever, but it's just in my opinion. Like, you're going to be hanging around that person for the rest of your life. If that person isn't challenging you, and not necessarily in the way again where you're like, oh, I need to do better as a man, I need to provide. Like, no, like they see something in you and they're going to challenge you when you're out of line and you're not doing the thing that possibly you said you're going to do, or you're not doing your best. And I appreciate Johnathan and Kev saying this because it gives real context on the importance of how, more specifically men, how we need to choose the right person to be with, because it's going to be a lifelong thing. It's going to be a lifelong thing. And you got to be locked in. You got to be locked in. If you're watching this video all the way up until now, I appreciate you for rocking with me. I know this is a longer one than before in my other review videos, but there's so much to break down. Like, I didn't even get to everything I wanted to get to, but I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all the great things to make these videos rocking and rolling and keep them going and flowing, y'all. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Peace.